So speaking of the acceptance speech, what a complete and utter fucking delusional rambling load of shit that was, much like this podcast. I did think it was pretty hypocritical, once again, mentioning hypocrisy, that he rambles on about God and about love and light and being a protector for the actresses that play the Williams sisters. The Williams sisters themselves looked pretty confused and a bit weirded out by his speech. They looked emotional, but they also looked really confused and had a bit of a what the fuck moment on their faces. So we all talked about being a vessel for love and light and about peace and all this other shit. Where was your tolerance and your vessel for peace and love 35 minutes beforehand? Once again, it's Hollywood hypocrisy in action. He's talking one thing, about how virtuous and how spiritual he is. All this coming from a guy that lost control of his emotions and assaulted someone. That would have been funny if the Chris Rock joke came after the Oscars speech. That would have showed he's completely emotionally unstable. And how he's a protector, he got to protect these actresses on set. Protect them from what? Your own mental state? What the fuck are you protecting them from? Then he starts crying and rambling on for 6 minutes. The music didn't get cued. He wasn't asked to wrap it up. He was crying and blubbering and mentioned during the break he was cancelled by Denzel, Bradley Cooper and Tyler Perry. I'm not sure why. I mean, I would have been condoning him for the way he acted, not patting him on the back and while he dries his tears. I mean, obviously something is going on with the guy. He's not all there. There's obviously some really big underlying issues. I found an interesting article that explains the Will Smith speech a little better. I got it on news.com.au. It's by Walina Ma. Pedro Almodovar says Will Smith's Oscar speech should not have been seen or heard. Interesting. An Oscar winner and acclaimed filmmaker was meters away from Will Smith, and he has some choice words for the actor. Acclaimed filmmaker Pedro Almodovar isn't going to cast Will Smith in his beloved movies anytime soon. The Spanish director wrote on it for IndieWire of his experience of a wild Oscars weekend, from dad jokes with Al Pacino to hanging out with Zendaya at the St. Laurent party. And even though he said he didn't want Will Smith's onstage assault of Chris Rock to overshadow everything, he saved some choice words for the American actor and producer, in particular Smith's 6-minute long acceptance speech, which he likened to that of a cult leader's. Condemning Smith's actions as a violent episode, Almodovar, who is best known for films including Volva and All About My Mother, and for his collaboration with Penelope Cruz, said he was a mere 4 meters away from all the action, sitting close to the stage as it happened. This is a quote from him. "What I saw and heard produced a feeling of absolute rejection in me," he said. "Not only during the episode, but afterwards too, in the acceptance speech, a speech that seemed more like that of a cult leader. You don't defend or protect the family with your fists. And no, the devil doesn't take advantage of key moments to do his work. The devil, in fact, doesn't exist." And that obviously refers to what Denzel Washington told him. The devil comes for you when you're at your highest, or some shit like that. This is a fundamentalist speech that we should neither hear nor see. During his acceptance speech for Best Actor, which was awarded 30 minutes after Smith slapped Rock after the comedian directed a joke at Smith's wife, Smith spoke at length about his desire to protect his family. Smith said he was called on by God to be a defender of family, and made a reference to what fellow actor and nominee Denzel Washington had said to him off stage moments earlier, that, quote, "At your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you." While he made a general apology to the Academy and to other nominees during his speech, Smith didn't apologise to Rock or acknowledge his act as one of violence until the next day, after he had spent the night partying and celebrating his win. Smith released a statement the day after the Oscars ceremony and after the Academy announced it would conduct a formal review into his actions, which could result in disciplinary action, and rightfully so. Smith eventually said, "Violence in all its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behaviour at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable." He added he was out of line and I was wrong. The Academy also revealed it asked Smith to leave the venue in the immediate aftermath of the slap, but Smith refused. He went on to take a seat in the audience and accepted his Best Actor accolade to a standing ovation. Rock hasn't publicly addressed the events, but referenced it at a first stand-up gig this week, where he told an audience in Boston that he was still processing what happened. Elsewhere in his piece, Almodovar, who previously won an Oscar for his film Talk to Her, revealed that Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were the only two high-profile celebrities he saw attend the hour-long award giving of 8 categories that were cut from the live Oscars. Jessica Chastain, who also present at the pre-ceremony, which celebrated achievements in technical categories including production design, sound design, and score. Howard Stern also weighed in on the Will Smith slap. This is an article from nydailynews.com by Brian Nemitz. Howard Stern says Will Smith wouldn't have slapped Jason Momoa or Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. No, he would not. If Jason Momoa had made that joke, Will Smith, like a bitch, would have said, "Thank you for acknowledging my wife, Mr. Momoa," Stern said on his Monday Sirius XM show. I'm not going to read the whole article, I'm just going to skip through a couple of quotes by Stern that I like. "What happened afterwards was disturbing to me," Stern said. Will Smith sits back down in his chair. He clearly has an emotional problem. Stern called Rock a gentle soul. Said Smith was clearly insane. And marveled over the fact that Rock was able to maintain his composure and that Smith remained in the building. He said Smith got away with what he did because he's a big celebrity. I agree with that. Stern also brings up a very good point. If it was someone else other than a high-profile celebrity like Smith. This is the quote. "Let's say Jessica Chastain's husband walked up on stage and smacked Chris Rock. You don't think they would have called the police and said, 'We've got a madman on the loose'?" He also said if someone was sitting courtside at a basketball game and assaulted a player, they would have hauled him off immediately by law enforcement. And he believes that should have happened on Sunday night. Yeah, good point. If you did that, you'd be bounced out of the area pretty quick. "Here's Hollywood that's so outraged by every little thing. Not one person got up and said, 'Hold on, we've got an out-of-control situation here,'" Stern said. "How this guy was allowed to sit there for the rest of the award show and he's laughing it up and having a good time with his wife, he just assaulted Chris Rock." Stern also said he doesn't think Will Smith, 53, would have struck muscle-bound actor Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. "What you saw on TV was a guy who's got real issues," he said. Calling the Academy Awards horrible and long and boring, Stern credited Rock, 57, for trying to make people laugh. The 68-year-old broadcaster had already fallen asleep before Smith and Rock had the incident. So there you go. So after his rambling speech, he goes backstage like he didn't just assault someone 35 minutes beforehand. And after that, he parties the night away, clutching his Oscar close, taking pics with admirers and hangers-on, singing along to his own songs, which I think is pretty weird and very sad. Will Smith as a rapper sucks balls. Those songs were cool when you were 12 to 15 years old. After that, they were just fucking cringy. And there Will is dancing around, surrounded by fans, holding his Oscar, singing along to his own songs. That came out in, the late 90s, early 2000s. I would have a bit more sympathy for him if he did show some remorse after the Oscar win, if it showed like maybe he was affected by it or he did learn something. But he acted like nothing had happened. He's just dancing around like a fucking idiot, partying the night away. Apparently the pair of them made up and sorted the issue out, but that's just what we hear in the media. Apparently Sean P. Diddy Combs mediated the talk between the two. You know things are really bad when a rapper has to mediate a disagreement between two actors at an award ceremony. So Will clearly has some issues. He has some very deep-seated emotional ones. He looks very insecure in his relationship and as a man. Me and Jada has completely destroyed him spiritually and emotionally. Their relationship is totally fucked. It's a very weird one. They've been very open about having an open relationship. That's been going on for a long time. They've mentioned that years ago. And I don't think much has changed. She also has publicly destroyed him on her Red Table Facebook show where she openly told him that she'd been having an affair with August Alsina, who was introduced to her by her son. So she'd been banging the son's friend allegedly, which in itself is fucked 3 ways from Sunday. So she looks like the real reason for his current state. I mean, she and him are both very selfish people who think the world revolves around them. Two negatives don't make a positive. There's not a lot of balance in that relationship. Will is coming off as a very insecure, traumatized person with some big issues, especially his anger. I think he really needs to deal with it. As a fan of Will Smith, I think we want to see him go back to punching aliens and not slapping